तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and in chapter 11, chapter 12, we have finished Panihatti's description, and now we are entering Monday, June 25, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was at Balram Bose's house in Calcutta, which used to call his second fort. First fort Dakshineshwar, second fort was Balram's house. He used to say, Divine Mother's second fort. Rakhal and M were seated near him. So they had gone with him, or they had come there. Rakhal must have gone with him. Master Masha must have come there. The master was in ecstasy. So he was in bhav. He was above this world. He conversed with the devotees in an abstracted mood. That means he was not in samadhi, but he was in bhav. And in that bhav, he was talking. Master, let me assure you that a man can realize his inner self through sincere prayer. Let me assure you, because there are hundreds of people in this world who do not recognize the power of prayer. I don't say you must do jnana sadhana and all that thing is there. So nothing of that is denied. But prayer has a power. Prayer, God responds to prayer is another thing. But prayer itself raises our mind. That is the power of prayer. And so up to the realization. And here Thakur is not talking of a personal God even. He is telling that by prayer you can realize your innermost self. Atman. Atman or Brahman is beyond everything. And there you can reach through prayer. Assure you. Sincere prayer. Sincere is the adjective. What is the meaning of sincere prayer and insincere prayer? I try to lead my life in the direction of realization and I pray. That is sincere prayer. If my actions are opposite, then the prayer is not sincere. So sincere prayer means that my life is oriented towards realization of Atman. And sincere prayer is lifting my mind up towards Atman. If my life is not directed towards that, then prayer will not be sincere. But to the extent, yes, but is there no? Sri Ramakrishna's most of these sentences come with a but, a rider. Because spiritual life is not a tick mark yes or no. The mind is there. So, but to the extent that he has the desire to enjoy worldly objects, his vision of the self becomes obstructed. To the extent, degree, if he has no desire to enjoy the worldly objects, then he will realize God fully. If he has some desire, then that much less will be his intensity towards God. If he has too much desire, then he will not progress at all. So this he tells in a graded way. M. Yes, sir. You always ask us to plunge into God. That means giving up desires, go, dive deep, leave everything of the world. That is the meaning of the word plunge. And Sri Ramakrishna joyously. So Sri Ramakrishna was happy that Master Masha has caught this point. So joyously, Master Masha mentions these two things meticulously through his memory. What mood and to whom. If it is plain talk, then he does not mention it. But if it has some special thing, then angrily, like that. But here, joyously. That means appreciating his understanding. Yes, that's it. So he has appreciated Master Masha's understanding. Let me tell you that the realization of self is another point, is possible for all without any exception. That means sannyasi, grasta, Sri, Purush, young, old, it does not come into consideration. He has already told that desires should not be there and sincere prayer should be there. Life should be directed towards that. Then outside what that man is, his position in society, etc., do not count. M. That is true. That is true, sir. No, M has his own but. But God is the doer. He works through different beings in different ways, according to their capacity to manifest the divine. God gives to some full spiritual consciousness and others he keeps in ignorance. So, M, this is true what M is telling, but Thakur will not agree here. M minuses prayer, attempt, giving up desire, and says God will give this to some and he will make others sing. Master does not agree. Previous point, joyously. This point, Master, no. Straight away, no. That is not so. These things are true, but the way in which Master Masha wants to apply is not true. That is not true. One should pray to God. So the original point was the power of prayer. And here, God does what he wants. You are minusing the power of prayer here. So Thakur is more than alert. No, it is not, that is not so. One should pray to God with a longing heart. So sincerely acted, now he says longing heart, and he says, God has supposed decided that I will make this great and that small. Here Thakur's point is God will change if you sincerely pray. So prayer has a power. God certainly listens to prayer if it is sincere again. Listens to, that means we will work according to. There is no doubt about it. So changing that, leaving everything to God, Thakur says, that is a rare thing. He says, give me power of attorney, then it's a still difficult sadhana. But for everybody, prayer as a force. Prayer will make God's idea also change. A devotee, other than Master Masha, evidently, yes, sir, there is this I consciousness in us, therefore we must pray. So, another devotee understands that point and says, if I is not there, desires are not there. If I is not there, God is present. But if I is there, then it has to pray. It has to change oneself, master, to M. So, hearing that man, master is again talking to M because M has to be corrected. A man should reach the Nitya, next point. I consciousness point has come, so master talks to M. A man should reach the Nitya, the absolute, by following the trail of the Leela. The world is a Leela of God. Without change in God's nature, He has created the world. He has not changed. Now let us follow the Leela and find out the origin or where it goes after destruction, where how it stays. Then through this known, we can reach unknown and we will go up to Sarvatita reality. It is like reaching the roof by stairs. So one should go above body, go above mind, and go above I and reach God. So that is like climbing a steps. After realizing the absolute, he should climb down to the relative and live on that plane in the company of devotees. So when he comes back, sees God everywhere, but recognizes God's power is different, manifestation is different, and to keep the mind attached to God, he should always be in the company of devotees. Charging his mind with the love of God. So, mind should be charged with love of God, and same type of people he should live with. Then there will be no problem. This is my final and most mature opinion. He declares this. So, what is Thakur's opinion on this point? We find in Kathāmrita, in Gospel, Thakur says, this is my final and mature opinion. Mature means after a lot of evolution, the opinion gets changing. Small children and back, and then it becomes permanent, steady. That is called mature opinion. So final and mature opinion. So Thakur is harping upon this point that God is fully realized when he is realized as Sarvatita Sarvavyapti, Nirgun Sagun, transcendent, immanent God. So after realizing the transcendent, that is also he makes it clear. Neti neti iti iti. After realizing the transcendent aspect of God, then only it has a meaning that God is immanent. Before that, realism of the world comes. But after realizing God the absolute, if one comes down, then it is called the immanence of God. God only is seen, and especially in the devotees. God has different forms, so one can understand. After realizing the absolute, if one comes down, he can understand that it is God in different forms and he sports in different ways, different forms and different ways. We can see and understand if we have already realized the Sarvatita. He sports as Ishvara. So, in how many levels of forms? Ishvara, ruler of the world, Srishti Pralayakarta, that is God's means Brahman's sport, one step down. Deva, hmm, Devalila. Devalila means devatas. Ishwar, Supreme God, and then below that various gods are there, plural. That is the devatas. So that is also Bhagwan's Leela, Brahman's Leela. Man, then next is man. Man also is God's appearance and the universe, objective universe or Jada things. So these are the different levels. Ishvara, Devatas, man, world. God is 14. We should see that God is 14. That we can do after realizing God as a Sarvatita. In every age, he descends to earth in human form as an incarnation. So that is a special Leela of God. He has not mentioned it in the four stages. Separately he mentions it that man, but God's man, divine man, in every age. Shall we discuss the age here? The Treta, Satya and all that are two huge, rough divisions. Age means the nature of man is Brahman, real nature. But man's mind undergoes different transformations in every age. For example, within this Kali Yuga, if you like to call it, this is, we say, age of science, age of technology, age of social equality. So it was not there before. So when the man's mind undergoes a change, God appears to guide him in that context. This is age. Sambhavami yuge yuge. In every age, he descends to earth in human form as an incarnation to teach people love and devotion. So, whatever age, what it teaches, love. How he has separated love and devotion because in Bengali there is a hyphen, prema bhakti. Now, what bhakti has? Bhakti has the highest reverence for God. And prema is love for God. Bhakti also contains that attraction. But with hyphen it is attached. That means prema is only love, while bhakti contains the highest reverence for God. That is the supreme being. That is the supreme value of life. That is the supreme wealth, like that. So, it may be Krishna or Rama or Chaitanya, but what is teaching by their words and life is love of God. There is the instance of Chaitanya. So, love is more expressed in Chaitanya, so it takes up that example. One can taste devotion and love of God only through his incarnations. Through his incarnations. That means God, incarnation is God himself, but in a human form. So, abstract God's idea difficult to love. But when it is in human form, you can form a love, loving relation. And then their teachings. Infinite are the ways of God's play. Infinite are the ways of God's play. What it does to everybody in this world. But what I need is love and devotion. So everything going on in the world is God's play. But I want to learn love and devotion. So through an incarnation. I want only the milk. The milk comes through the udder of the cow. The incarnation is the udder. See, cow is there. All parts of cow are sattvic, good. But I want milk. So udder is. So the essence of God is understood through the incarnation. Thakur compares it with cow's body and the udder through which milk is coming. Was Sri Ramakrishna hinting, much as reflection? Was Sri Ramakrishna hinting that he was an incarnation of God? Did he suggest that those who saw him saw God? Saw him in his nature? Did he thus speak about himself when speaking of Chaitanya? He mentioned Chaitanya. Master Masha feel that all those things are present in Thakur himself. Now, we come to another day. The 25 June conversation is over at this point. Now, this next conversation, Master Masha has not noted the day in his diary. But he has given some notes which we understand that it was within the month of June. So that has been put in this place. Because after this will come July 14. So some conversation without date but June mentioned, they are put at the end of other June conversations. It was a hot day in June 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the steps of the Shiva temples in the temple garden. M arrived with ice and other offerings and sat down on the steps after saluting the master. Because hot summer, so he brought ice. Master to him, the husband of Manimalik's granddaughter. Manimalik we heard, now his granddaughter's husband was here. He read in a book that God could not be said to be quite wise and omniscient. That is from the footnote tells us it is from the autobiography of John Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill, Englishman, represents the logical approach to reality. And through logic, he finds this, that God is not wise. Why? He has his own arguments. Otherwise, why should there be so much misery in the world? So we are more wise. We will create a world with less misery. And then people will get more attached to the world that he does not understand. As regards death, it would be much better to kill a man all at once instead of putting him through slow torture. So all this, an individual man's intellect attached to his body and mind, that gives these conclusions. God should have given a world where the man dies quickly, like heart attack. He does not have to go through torture. Then who will think of God? Misery, slow death, all their boons. They make us think of God. See, Kunti prayed that wherever there is misery, please put me there so that I remember you and get mukti. Further, the author writes that if he himself were the creator, he would have created a better world. So, according to his better, he does not know that the purpose of the living in this world is to realize God, to realize our own nature, and that requires both happiness and misery. So, this master is reporting to him that that person had read out this. M listened on these words in surprise and made no comment. Because it was a very different idea. Master now is talking to M. Can a man ever understand God's ways? That is the thing. We have an individual mind fully attached to our body, our likes, our dislikes. So this free thinking has no meaning. It is hot ice. Both Swami Vivekananda and Shankaracharya have said if you follow free thinking, you will end in nihilism. So thinking should be according to what the rishis have told us. They are the realized person, so they are telling us. I too think of God sometimes as good and sometimes as bad. This is very good. You are assuming God to be good only when the world you think is real. Who destroys? God destroys. So is he wicked? Is he bad? Yes. What harm is there? Good is our liking. Bad is what we do not like. God is not bound by that. This world itself is a shadow, unreal. So these things will be there. He has kept us deluded by his great illusion. So Maya Shakti is God Shakti. And we think as we see, as is our faith, as is our constitution of the mind. And that is a illusion. Sometimes he wakes us up and sometimes he keeps us unconscious. They previously had told, if we pray, we will come to consciousness. One moment the ignorance disappears and the next moment it covers our mind. Temporarily, that is not complete disappearance. If you throw a brickbat into a pond covered with moss, you get a glimpse of the water. But a few moments later, the moss comes dancing back and covers the water. So, ordinary man's life, sometimes he gets an illumination, but because the mind is not ready, full of desires and attachments, it goes away. One is aware of pleasure and pain, birth and death. So, two opposites are always there in the world. Disease and grief, as long as one is identified with the body. Otherwise, there is no question of this. If you are not conscious of the body, no pleasure and pain can touch you. That is what the Upanishads tell us. Birth and death does not belong to Atman. Disease, grief, nothing of this belongs to our real nature. So as long as one is identified with the body, all these belong to the body alone and not to the soul, self, we may say. After the death of the body, perhaps God carries one to a better place, Sarga. It is like the birth of the child after the pain of delivery. That means pain of the delivery, then birth of the child is something happy. So like that we are suffering in the world, but we may go to heaven. But attaining self-knowledge, one looks on pleasure and pain, birth and death as a dream. Dream means we see, but it is not real. That is dream. How little we know of God with this puny individualistic mind. Can a one seer pot hold 10 seers of milk? Example, actually infinite seers of milk. Seer was the old measure, almost similar to kilogram. So one seer of milk pot. How can it contain 100 seers of milk, 10 seers of milk? So God's nature is infinite, unfathomable. Whatever is happening in the world is God's. So that an individual mind thinking according to attachment to his body and pleasures cannot find. If ever a salt doll ventures into the ocean to measure its depth, it cannot come back and give us information. So those who really try, they go to God. They do not come as to tell us. It melts into the water and disappears. At dusk, the evening service began in the different temples. It was hot afternoon. The master was sitting on the small couch in his room, absorbed in contemplation of the Divine Mother. As soon as there was evening, master had to pass into that. Several devotees also were there. M was going to spend the night with the master. So that diary and date is not there perhaps. A little later, that becomes evident now. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to a devotee privately on the veranda north of his room. And Master is reporting that. So it seems that devotee was Master. He said it is good to meditate in the small hours of the morning. Master is going to spend there. Na? So it is good to meditate in the small hours of the morning and at dawn. Dawn and small hours of the morning. Oh, Pratyushe or self Shesh Ratire. Two things are there. Early hours of the morning according to English counting. After 12, they start counting 1, 2, 3. That has come into our mind now. Otherwise, in India, they used to count from sunrise. Now, so early hours in the morning means night is not yet over. And then dawn means the first light of the sun comes. So these are the two clear times. And one should think even in that night, later part of the night. It is good to meditate in the small hours of the morning. You understand now? Small hours of the morning according to English concept. Here in Bengali, Bhor Rattire. Rattire, Bhor. And at dawn. One should also meditate daily after dusk, evening, Sandhya. He instructed the devotee about meditation on the personal God and on the impersonal reality. That is not revealing here. After a time, he sat on the semicircular porch west of his room near the Ganges. It was about 9 o'clock night. Master, those who come here will certainly have all their doubts removed. What do you say? If they ask Thakur, he knows the answer for every question and their doubts will be removed. That is true, sir. So he questioned him and he has understood that point. A boat was moving in the Ganges, far away from the bank. The boatman began to sing. The sound of his voice floating over the river reached the master's ears and he went into a spiritual mood. The sailor's singing is always feelingful. The hair on his body stood on end. He said to him, just feel my body. M was greatly amazed. He thought the Upanishads describe Brahman as permeating the universe and the ether sky. Has that Brahman as sound touched the master's body? So Nada is a form of Brahman, and in that form, Brahman has touched Thakur, that sound. This is wonderful, huh? After a time, Sri Ram is not listening completely because from a great distance it is coming, but that sound. And as I said, especially the sailor song. After a time, Sri Ramakrishna began to converse again. Master, those who come here must have been born with good tendencies. Isn't that true? So he's testing, he's telling something and saying whether Master has understood or felt or not. So those who come, doubts will be removed. But how they come here? Why the whole world does not come there? Because they have good tendencies, so they come here. Sanskara. This applies to not to the degree of Sri Ramakrishna, but this applies to Ramakrishna Mission as a whole. Somebody asked me in one of our meetings that why it is that in other ashrama, other sampradayas, lakhs of people we hear, tens of thousands we hear, why our gatherings are not like that? One devotee said, I will reply. And that is, he said, that other places they roughly polish, clean a vessel, and for final cleaning they come here. I said that unless one has spiritual awareness, they do not come here. What will appreciate in Thakur? Spirituality. Anyway, it is true, sir. He has understood that and he has seen that. Master, other must have good tendencies. Other was a devotee. Very early he passed away. But he was so much attracted to Thakur. And that is why Thakur is telling he must have good tendencies. That goes without saying. Master, a guileless man easily realizes God. If there is complication in the mind, he does not realize God. Or let. There are two paths, the path of righteousness and the path of wickedness. One should follow the path of righteousness. So if you follow the path of wickedness, what will you do? That is true, sir. If a thread has a single fiber sticking out, it cannot pass through the eye of a needle. This example given by the Thakur himself, Master Maharaj has assimilated. Master. So Master gives another example. If a man finds a hair in the food he is chewing, he spits out the entire morsel. So wickedness will spoil everything. M. But you say that the man who has realized God cannot be injured by evil company. A blazing fire burns up even a plantain tree. No further comments from Sri Ramakrishna. So that is true about the man of realization, and we are talking about sadhana. So that undated portion ends here. Then Saturday, July 14, 1883. Some very important points are there. Samasmash has reported Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house. We heard about Adhar. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house in Calcutta. Rakhal, M and other devotees were with the master. Adhar has arranged to have Rajnarayan, the famous singer, and his party recite the Chandi. Rajnarayan Chandi was very famous. What is Chandi? Durga Saptashati. It is called the Chandi. And that recital with a special tone Rajnarayan could do and his uh, associates. Rajnarayan began the recital in the worship hall in Adhar's house. He sang, I have surrendered my soul at the fearless feet of the mother. Am I afraid of death anymore? So the idea of death goes away if man rises in God consciousness. That is the meaning of this song. As the master listened, he became filled with divine fervor and joined the musicians. Now and then he improvised an appropriate line. Suddenly he went into samadhi and stood still. So all those conditions were seen always, always. The singer sang again, "Who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle?" Hmm. Now the previous song, two lines, in Bengali the full song is given. I will read out and try to translate. अभय पदे प्राण सौंपेची আমি আর কি यमेर भय रेखेची काली नाम महामंत्र आत्मशीर शिखाय बेंधेची. So I tied it to my hair. আমি देह बेचे भवेर घाटे दुर्गा नाम की नेची. I sold my body, that means got up above body consciousness. And what I have taken in its place? Durga Naam. Kali Naam, so he has identified Durga and Kali here. Kali Naam Kalpataru, Hriday Ropan Korechi, I planted Kali Naam Kalpataru, wish fulfilling tree, in my heart. এবার shaman এলে হৃদয় খুলে দেখাবো তাই বসে আছি. Shaman is Yama. If Yama comes, I will open my heart and show you. Here is Kali Kalpataru. দেহের মধ্যে ছজন কুজন তাদের ঘরে দূর করেছি. 6 enemies are there in the body. I have removed them to a distance. রামপ্রসাদ বলে দুর্গা বলে যাত্রা করে বসে আছি. যাত্রা করে means start of a journey with the name Durga. So fearlessly I will pass away. Now there he improvised an appropriate line. Oh ma, rakho ma, these are the words. Oh mother, save me. आखिर जीते जीते एकबारे समाधिस्थ. Now the singer sings another song. रणे एशेचे कार कामिनी सजल जलद जिनिया काय दशने dole damini. Now here Bengali has only 2 lines, while the English has given full song. Who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle? Darker her body gleams even than the darkest storm cloud, and from her teeth there flash the lightning's blinding flames. That is the Kali destruction Varnan. Disabled description. Disabled hair, her hair is flying behind as she rushes about, undaunted in the war between the gods and the demons. Laughing her terrible laugh, she slays the fleeing asuras, and with her dazzling flashes, she bears the horns of horror of war. How beautiful on her brow the drops of moisture appear. About her brow, drops of moisture, because of that labor. About her dense black hair, the bees are buzzing in swarms, thinking that to be lotus. The moon has veiled its face, beholding the sea of beauty. Moon has become ashamed of this beauty, so he has covered his face. Tell me, who can she be, this sorceress? Wonder of wonders, sorceress means dilute the world. Shiva himself, like a corpse, has lies vanquished at her feet. That you know the story, that because when Kali got the killer's tendency, all gods were afraid. Shiva went and lay down in the field, and by mistake Kali climbed on him and then became quiet. So Shiva is like a corpse, unchanging. and reacting. Kamalakanta's song famous. Kamalakanta has guessed who she is with the elephant's gait. She is none other than Kali, mother of all the words. Sri Ramakrishna was in deep samadhi. Another day, Saturday, July 21, 1883. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when Sri Ramakrishna with Ramlal and one or two other devotees started from Dakshineshwar for Calcutta in a carriage. As the carriage passed the gate of Kali temple, they met M, coming on foot with 4 mangoes in his hand. The carriage stopped and M saluted the master. Sri Ramakrishna was going to visit some of his devotees in Calcutta. Master to M with a smile. He is happy. Come with us. We are going to others' house. M got joyfully into the carriage. Having received an English education, he did not believe in the tendencies inherited from previous births. But in the previous thing we find he agreed. But he had admitted, a few days before, that it was on account of others' good tendencies from past birth that he showed with such great devotion to the Master. Later on, he had thought about this subject and had discovered that he was not yet completely convinced about inherited tendencies. He had come to Dakshineshwar that day to discuss the matter with Sri Ramakrishna, because all doubts will vanish, he has said already. And that believes. Master, well, what do you think of other? He has himself brought the topic again, knowing that. M. He has great yearning for God. So as we see, Master, other to speak very highly of you. M remained silent a while and then began to speak of past tendencies. M. I haven't much faith in rebirth and inherited tendencies, even in rebirth. Will that in any way injure my devotion to God? So he is more concerned about his devotion to God. Due to these two non-beliefs, will it be obstructed? Master, it is enough to believe that all is possible in God's creation. That's all. Don't go about particulars. If we don't find the explanation of this or that, everything is possible in God's creation. Never allow the thought to cross your mind that your ideas are the only true ones, and that those of others are false. Then God will explain everything. So slowly as you rise towards God, God will explain everything. Start with the belief that everything is possible in God. What can a man understand of God's activities by intellect? The facets of God's creation are infinite. I do not try to understand God's actions at all. I have heard that everything is possible in God's creation, and I always bear that in mind. Okay. This is very good attitude. Their best attitude. Therefore, I do not give a thought to the world, but meditate on God alone. Once Hanuman was asked, what day of the lunar month is it? Hanuman said, I don't know anything about the day of the month, the position of the moon and stars, or any such thing. I think of Rama alone. Can we ever understand the work of God? He is so near, still it is not possible for us to know him. Obstructions, his innermost self. Balaram did not realize that Krishna was God. So very near, Balaram was Krishna's elder brother, but he did not realize that he is God's brother. Some people, Jayadeva and others, have made Balaram an incarnation, Krishna's incarnation. Let us drop that idea. M. That is true, sir, because physical nearness will not do. Master, God has covered all with his Maya. He doesn't let us know anything. Maya is woman and God in practical life. He who puts Maya aside to see God can see Him. So put away woman and God, you will see Him. Once when I was explaining God's actions to someone, God suddenly showed me the lake at Kamarpukur. I saw a man removing the green scum and drinking the water. The water was clear as crystal. God revealed to me that Satchidananda is covered by the scum of Maya. He who puts the green scum aside can drink the water. So that is the lesson. Let me tell you a very secret experience. Once I had entered the wood near the pine grove for answering calls of nature, and I was sitting there when I had a vision of something like the hidden door of a chamber. I couldn't see the inside of the chamber. I tried to bore a hole in the door or this vision with a nail knife, but did not succeed. As I bored, the earth fell back into the hole and filled it. Then suddenly I made a very big opening. So that is all opening into God's realm. Uttering these words, the master remained silent. So M would not understand all this significance, he did not go further. After a time, he said, these are very profound words. I feel as if someone were pressing my mouth. So, further, he could not, M could not catch the drift. This Thakur knew and stopped speaking. I have seen with my own eyes that God dwells even in the sexual organ. Even. I saw him once in the sexual intercourse of a dog and a beach. See the divine vision. He saw God there. Everything belongs to God. The universe is conscious on account of consciousness of God. There is nothing jada here. Sometimes I find that this consciousness wriggles about as it were, even in small fish. Fish is conscious. The carriage came to the crossing at Shobha in Calcutta. This V is not Shobha, it is Shobha. The master continued saying, when it is bha, ba with a mahaprana, in Bengali they write V. V becomes bhi in Bengali. Otherwise, by the spelling, we will not understand the non-Bengalis. The master continued saying, sometimes I find that the universe is saturated with the consciousness of God. As the earth is soaked with water in the rainy season, so much vision, even the tamasic, even the dullest thing, he sees consciousness because it is there. Well, I see so many visions, but I never feel vain about them. A small vision and man becomes mad by ego. Thakur is telling clearly that he has no vanity about it. Aim with a smile that you should speak of vanity, sir. It is impossible in you. Master, upon my word, I don't feel vanity even in the slightest degree. So he's showing the speciality of an incarnation or a man of realization. For his achievements, he does not feel vanity. With ordinary man, it is great contrast. M. There lived a man in Greece, Socrates by name. A voice from heaven said that he was wise among men. Socrates was amazed at this revelation. He meditated on it a long time in solitude and then realized its significance. He said to his friends, I alone of all people understood that I do not know anything. That is the wisdom. But every man believes he is wise. In reality, all are ignorant. Master, that Sri Ramakrishna does not have vanity, so he gave a good example from Socrates. Master, now and then I think, what is it I know that makes so many people come to me? So, practical life is there. Vaishnav Charan was a great Pandit. He used to say to me, I can find in the scriptures all the things you talk about. But do you know why I come to you? I come to hear from your mouth, one who has all that in his life. That makes the difference. M. All your words tally with the scriptures. Navdeep Goswami also said that the other day at the festival at Paniyati. You told us that day that by repeating the word Gita a number of times, one reverses it and it becomes Tagi. That day it was not explained, but it was explained, not written down. And that Master is telling today, which refers to renunciation. Renunciation is the essence of the Gita. Navdeep Goswami supported your statement from the grammatical standpoint. Tyagi is for renunciation, not Tagi. But Navdeep Goswami said that the Tagi meaning comes to Tyagi. Master, have you found anyone else resembling me? Any Pandit or holy man? Will take it up tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhui Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.